Have you ever actually wondered how an AI trading bot thinks? It's easy to imagine it's some kind of magic black box, right? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain. We're breaking it all down into a super clear 3-layer blueprint, one you can use to really understand and maybe even start building your very first bot.
So let's just ask the big question right up front. Could you really hand over your trading decisions to a machine? Well, the short answer is yeah, you can, but the how, that's where everything gets interesting.
Okay, let's be super clear. We are not talking about those old school bots. You know the ones. They were so rigid, just following simple if this happens, then do that rules. Think like a basic moving average crossover. No. Today's AI bots, they're a totally different species. They are built to swallow mountains of complex market data, adapt on the fly, and spot these subtle little patterns that a human or a basic script will just completely miss.
So where do we start? Well, it all begins with the first most fundamental layer, the data foundation. The best way to think about this is like you're giving your bot senses, the ability to see and hear everything that's happening in the market.
This whole process is called data ingestion, and you have to understand this is the absolute lifeblood of your bot. Without a constant, steady stream of market info, your AI is basically blind and deaf. This data is the raw material for every single decision it will ever make. So, what kind of data are we talking about here? The absolute core of it is what's called OHLCV candlestick data. That's just the open, high, low, close, and volume for any given time period. And to get this stuff, you tap into what are called APIs from sources like Binance or CoinGecko. These are just gateways that let your bot grab both historical data to learn from and real-time prices to act on. Okay, so once all that data is flowing in, it goes straight to our second layer, the AI decision engine. If data gives the bot its senses, this layer is the brain of the whole operation. This is where all that raw information gets turned into an actual trading decision. But here's the thing, and you really need to get this. You could have the most powerful AI model on the planet, but if you give it vague instructions, you're going to get useless garbage back. The quality of your AI's decision is a direct reflection of how good your prompt is. Check this out. This is a simplified example of a really good system prompt. See how specific it is? First, it gives the AI a role. You are an expert analyst. Then it tells it exactly what to look for. In this case, MACD and RSI, which are just popular indicators for market momentum. And here's the kicker. It forces the AI to reply in a strict machine-readable format called JSON. This isn't a friendly chat, it's a command that guarantees you get a clean buy, sell, or neutral signal that your bot can instantly understand and act on. So the workflow inside this brain is actually pretty straightforward. The bot pulls in the OHLCV data, the large language model analyzes that data based only on the rules you gave it in the prompt, and then it spits out that clean, simple signal. Data in, analysis, signal out. Simple as that. And that signal leads us to our third, and honestly our most important layer, the mandatory safety net. So if the data is the senses and the AI is the brain, think of this layer as its survival instinct. Its one and only job is to protect your money. And here's why that's so crucial. An AI is a phenomenal analyst. It can spot things we can't, but it has absolutely zero common sense, zero human judgment. It will follow your instructions perfectly, even if that means driving your account straight to zero. That's why hard-coded, non-negotiable safeguards are an absolute must. So what do these safeguards look like? Well, first, every single trade must have a take-profit order. That automatically sells and locks in your gains when you hit a certain target. Second, and even more important, is a stop loss. That automatically cuts your losses if a trade goes south. And, especially in the crypto world, you need liquidity checks. This is to make sure you're not about to buy a scam token called a honeypot, which is a nasty little trap that lets you buy in but will never, ever let you sell. Okay, so you've built your 3-layer bot. Now what? Now it's time for a reality check, because we have to face the harsh truths of actually deploying it. Look, building the bot is one thing. Surviving in a live market? That's a whole other ballgame. And this brings us to a really critical and sometimes painful concept, the simulation to reality gap. This is the difference between how amazing your strategy looks on paper using old data versus how it actually performs with real money on the line in a messy, chaotic live market. Let me be clear, a profitable backtest does not guarantee future profits. So how do you try to bridge that gap? You have to follow the professional workflow. You start by training your model on one set of historical data.
Then you refine and validate it by backtesting on a different set of data it's never seen before. And finally, before a single real dollar is on the line, you paper trade. You simulate live trading to see how it actually holds up in real time.
But even with all that perfect testing, you have to remember one more thing. The second your bot goes live, it's not working in a nice, quiet lab. It's stepping into an arena with some very, very big predators. And the difference in scale here is just massive. While your bot might be analyzing patterns over minutes or maybe hours, the institutional high-frequency trading bots, or HFTs, they aren't even playing the same sport. They're built to exploit tiny price differences that only exist for a fraction of a second. And how do they do this? HFT firms spend millions of dollars on something called co-location, which basically means putting their servers in the same building as the exchange's servers. Their speed advantage isn't measured in seconds, it's measured in microseconds. It is a race you literally cannot win. And they use that incredible speed to engage in some pretty predatory tactics. They can use things like spoofing and layering, which is where they place these huge orders that they have no intention of ever filling, just to trick the market and bait slower bots, like yours, into making bad trades. So, after all that, what's the big takeaway here? It's this. The tools to build a basic AI trading bot are more accessible today than ever before, and that part is really empowering. But actually succeeding in a market dominated by speed and these predatory algorithms, that requires constant learning, constant adaptation, and an absolutely ruthless approach to managing your risk. So now you have the blueprint. You understand the 3 essential layers. But the final question isn't about code, it's about strategy. In a market that's full of sharks, are you truly ready to get in the water and swim?